All right, so welcome. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for being on time. I really appreciate all of you being here today. A couple housekeeping things. Right now, everybody is on mute. Feel free to take yourself off mute if you have a question. We just did that to kind of minimize some of that background noise. If for some reason you need to leave the meeting or go take a phone call, whichever, that's fine. Just please stay on mute during that, and then you can jump back on. We will be recording this, so you will be able to go back and review anything that you missed or stuff that you want to go over again. We will also be sending out the PowerPoint itself, so you can kind of flip through that and review that if you have any questions. You feel free to share this with any volunteers that may be helping you during the count or anybody that just wants a refresher. Okay. And just a note as well, we are having some bad storms where I'm at, so I hope I don't lose connectivity. I went ahead and took myself off video just to help that. If for some reason I do, I will jump back on my phone as soon as I can. So hopefully we'll be good on that. Okay, so point in time count or PIT count, as you'll heard, what is that? So COCs are required by HUD to plan and conduct a point in time count of all the homeless persons in our geographic area. A COC is basically just a group of homeless providers that join together to help get grants and help provide service to homeless individuals. So our COC actually covers 18 counties across the state, basically all the way from the Mississippi River clear across into Indiana. So a very big geographic area. URBA specifically covers 7 of those counties, and this is an Eastern Region training call. So I see URBA, I see looks like Hope is on the call as well. Let's check the participant list in a little bit. So all the agencies that are on, most of them serve that area on that eastern side, okay? After we complete this count, after we compile all this data, then we have to submit our data to HUD, which is our funding source. HUD stands for Housing and Urban Development. That is a federal funding source, and they give us our grants directly through that. Our funding level is based on the amount of need that we can show. So it's important that we get accurate counts. We want to make sure that we are tracking trends across the region, if the count goes up and down, all of those things. So it's very, very important that we get an accurate count. Okay, Rose says that she switched to phone, but it's not taking me off computer audio. I am getting an echo. Rose, can you mute yourself on your computer? Let me see if it'll let me mute you. If you need to, Rose, feel free just to log off your computer, and then I can send you the PowerPoint after too, if we need to do that. Lynn says, or turn your volume down on your computer. It's a good idea. Okay, so when we're doing the point in time count, what do we need to do first? Okay. First thing that I recommend that you guys do is to contact your local agencies that you know have given hotel vouchers in the past. So these may be like churches, maybe the Salvation Army, Goodwill, places like that have put individuals in hotels in the past that you're aware of. Just call and let them know, hey, we're going to be doing this count. I'll be reaching out to you around the time of the count to gather some information. Okay. Second, we recommend that you contact your local law enforcement officials for 2 different reasons. Number one, during the night of the point in time count, when we're canvassing, we're driving around looking for homeless individuals, it's important to let law enforcement know what we're doing, just in case they get any calls, any like suspicious activity calls, so that they're aware of who we are and why we're there. And the second reason that we contact law officials is because we would like them to let us know if they've had any homeless individuals in their area during that time. Okay. The third thing we recommend is to directly contact hotels where you know that homeless individuals may have been housed in the past. Maybe they got referred to from a different agency that you weren't aware of, things like that. So it's important to do that. And then also, it's important to review your point in time log from the past couple years that you've done this. So I have a majority of these logs that were sent to me with you guys' point in time info. So if you're new to an office or you're not sure where your point in time log is or areas to look, please reach out. We can probably find that for you. But a point in time log is basically just like a checklist. Different areas in your community that you think it would be beneficial for you to call or for you to canvas during the night of your count. Okay. Again, the same as last year, we are going to be asking you guys to use those risk factors form. So I'll show you the example of this at the end of it, but the risk factors form is to help us gain some qualitative data on first-time homelessness. So we do that by talking to those people that are in the hotel, like the hotel motel operators, the front desk staff of that, and potentially frontline workers, like a lot of yourselves. Also maybe agencies like SSBF, Goodwill, all those places that have dealt with individuals who are homeless for the first time as kind of that frontline defense. Okay. And we'll go over that form here in a little bit. All right, changes from last year. Oh, Rose, marking on my screen, lady. Hold on a second here. Let me see if I can. I'm not sure how to make that go away. Here, I'm going to stop share and then start share again. That might make it go back to. Okay. So changes from last year, there's really only two areas that have changed in the collection of last year. So the first one is the gender field. Now it is a checkbox where you can mark all that apply. You'll also see that some of the gender categories have switched a little bit as well. So that's the first change. The second change is in the race and ethnicity fields. These have actually been combined into one field. Okay, so we'll show that here in a little bit too, to show you that, but it'll say race and ethnicity, and again, check all that apply. So there can be multiple options clicked for both of those. And then, like every year, we'll continue to gain information about sheltered homeless individuals the same way we did last year. So a little bit of information on unsheltered and sheltered. An unsheltered person would be somebody who's living in a place that's not meant for human habitation. So maybe outside, maybe in a car, maybe in a building with no running water, all of those things, a place that they cannot stay sustainably. Sheltered individuals are those who have already been housed, maybe in that hotel or maybe in one of our programs in housing. So for that, we will go ahead and gather that information. For the hotels, we'll still have you guys gather the PIT forms. But for those of you that are housed in one of our homeless programs, we will pull that information directly off of the HMIS. So I don't need you to send me information on everybody that's in your rapid rehousing program or permanent supportive housing program, any of that. We will pull that information off and report that to HUD directly. Okay. The same goes with ETH. So that's our emergency transitional housing program. That's our voucher shelter program. If you have a client that's housed in that housing during the point in time count, please just make sure that your HMIS data is accurate and their entry dates are correct, and I'll be able to pull that directly from there. Okay. Are there any questions so far before we continue on? If you have a question, please remember to put it in the chat or go ahead and take yourself off mute. Ask the question that way. All right, we'll go ahead and keep going. Okay, so in preparation for the count, these are a couple things that you can do maybe the week before. Please make sure to make enough copies of the survey that you'll use, of course. Make a copy of your PIT log, that checklist of areas that you're going to canvas, and then also discuss with your team. So I know everybody's set up a little bit differently. For the outreach workers, please talk to Carol to see what she expects of you guys and what that'll look like. Same thing with the different groups too. So like the homeless group, please speak with Lynn to kind of work out who's canvassing where. Same with Hope. You guys will kind of work together with that too. But the goal for this is to make sure that we have a pretty clear plan on where each individual is going and what time. The reason for that is because we do not want to duplicate a count. So we don't want to go by the same spot maybe 4 times that night and everybody count the same individual on their sheet. Okay, we want to make sure that we are canvassing as much area as possible, and that we're trying to, stagger our times to make sure we're getting as much time covered as well. Okay, so this is a new slide that is on the training. We work with a lived experience work group who has recommended that we put this in here for you guys. So please let me know if you have any questions. It's very important that we respect cultural boundaries and that we're culturally competent when we are doing this count as well. So cultural competency is described as a set of values, behaviors, attitudes, and practices within a system, organization, program, or among individuals that enables us to work cross-culturally. So what that basically means is please be respectful, okay? When you're talking to individuals, there may be questions that they're not comfortable answering for whatever reason, and that's absolutely fine. We do not want to be rude or make somebody uncomfortable. So if somebody does not want to report on any of the questions, that's completely fine. Please just leave it blank, okay? So be respectful of each individual's boundaries, okay? Additionally, we want to be mindful of people's privacy, okay? So for instance, if you find a group of homeless individuals and maybe there's 3 individuals there, it is completely okay to ask one of those individuals if they would like to go somewhere more private to answer the questions, okay? That's very respectful. Now, we do ask that you don't go anywhere by yourselves, don't canvass by yourselves, but it is okay to ask somebody if they want to come away from their group of people to speak with you privately, okay? It's all about how comfortable that the individual is. All right, and so this is also another slide that was added due to input from our lived expertise group about gaining consent. Okay, so consent is described as permission for something to happen or an agreement to do something. So it's very important that before we do, we start taking information, that we gather their consent first. So you can do that in 3 different steps. The first one, of course, is be kind. You guys are really good at that, but just keep that as a reminder. The second, we want to explain to the homeless individual why we're doing this. Why are we needing their information? What's the point of it? And then the third part of that is to ask the individual if they would be able to answer our questions. Okay, so that's just it's also a part of being respectful. We have to ask before we start the survey. So during the count, safety of you all is our first priority, okay? Please do not go anywhere that you feel unsafe. Please do not go alone, okay? And then also, if you feel comfortable wearing a mask or social distancing, feel free to do that, okay? Whatever your comfort level is there, please make yourselves be safe, okay? The second point, do not wake someone up who is sleeping. This is also a recommendation from that lived expertise group. It can be very frightening to be woken up from sleep, especially by a stranger, especially when you're outside. So if you see somebody that is sleeping, please do not wake them up. Feel free to go ahead and write down as much information about them as you can, including maybe where they're staying at, where they're located, maybe what color coat they have on, if they're in a tent, etc., so that we make sure we don't duplicate the count. But please do not wake them up and make them feel afraid. And then the third item there says to remember to always treat each individual with dignity and respect, okay? They may be without homes right now, but they are still very much humans with feelings, and we should treat them as such, okay? All right, so on the actual survey tool on the count, it will start with that form. Please, please, please write legibly, okay? So when we do these forms, they get scanned in and then sent over to me, and we compile that data. So sometimes they can be scanned or emailed a couple different times. So it's very important that you write legibly. Make sure that your pen is pushed down hard enough so we can see it when we're scanning that over, okay? Also, on the top of every form, it has the areas for your agency, the county, the region, and the person completing the survey. Please fill that out on every single form, okay? If you have a household that's bigger than just one form, please on the separate form, write page 1 of 2 or 2 of 2 or how many ever, so that we can kind of keep it more organized. It does get confusing with all of the different forms across 18 different counties. So please, please, please fill that out. Like last year, we still have the check boxes on the form to fill out their information, so it makes it easier for you guys just to mark a box for a lot of the fields. And then also, one thing that we're doing new this year for the Eastern region is we are putting together little bags that will have some information on agencies that provide services for homeless individuals in our region, information on how to contact that coordinated entry access point, how to get help, right? How do I get in there to get some assistance? We're also attempting to put some food items in there, some hand warmers, some toiletry items. So that's something that we are piloting in our Eastern region, specifically in probably Coles County area, because that's usually our largest need right now. If this goes well, and we're able to kind of pull this together, we are hoping to do this across our entire 18 counties, okay? So just that. This is a list of the questions. We will actually go over these specifically on the form, so I'm going to skip this slide for now. All right, so motel or hotel vouchers. Excuse me. For somebody who is staying in a hotel that is paid for by a different agency, so not paid for by IRBA, we need to gather this information about the sponsor. So the sponsor is who is paying that hotel bill. Okay, so it could be a church, it could be a township, it could be any of those agencies that do that. The sponsor information will be located right there on the right side of the screen when we go to the tool, but it asks 4 different items: the name of the church or the agency, the address, a contact name and phone number for that agency, and what towns that agency serves. So the 4th part there, the towns that the agency serves, that can be pretty vague. So it may be counties, it may be a town, it may be different areas. So feel free, if it's somebody that covers multiple counties, you do not have to list every county. Just put the whole county name or multiple counties, whichever. You have some leeway there. All right, so this is one thing that is probably one of the more complicated things with the count, and we have questions on every year. So on the tool, there is a question that says chronically homeless, okay? So in order to qualify as chronically homeless, the individual first must have a disability, okay? If they answer no when you ask them if they're disabled, skip this question altogether, okay? The answer is no for both of their chronic questions. If you are working with somebody who does have a disability, then we go to the chronically homeless question, okay? So there are 2 types of chronically homeless. The first question references chronic homeless 1, and the second one references chronic homeless 3. What we are trying to figure out is, has this individual been homeless for a total of 12 months? So 1 whole year, okay? The first question asks them if they've been homeless for every single night in the past year. So consecutively, yes, I've been homeless from January of 2023 until January of 2024. That would be chronic homeless 1, okay? A consistent, consecutive time of homelessness. The second question on there talks about if they have been homeless for a total of 12 months throughout the last 3 years, okay? So in this case, somebody may have been homeless, maybe they found some temporary housing, or they found an apartment or whichever, but then they went back to being homeless and kind of yo-yoed back and forth for a total of 12 months within the last 3 years. Okay, so we're looking at that if it's 12 months of homelessness in their past, and then which one of those would qualify under question 1 or the second question on there. Okay, does anybody have any questions on this piece? Okay. If you have somebody that's kind of got a complicated background and you're not sure at the dates if it all adds up, feel free to use that notes section on the tool to kind of write down the dates that they were homeless approximately, and I can help you add that up and we can see if they qualify for that definition. So don't spend too much time stressing about this, but let me know if you have questions on that and we can discuss that further. Okay, so the schedule of the count, our point in time count will be January 24th. So that is what night we are looking at where the individuals slept, okay? Excuse me. So ideally we start our count about noon on that day, so noon on the 24th up until noon on the next day on the 25th, okay? We are looking to see where they slept on the night of the 24th. So with HUD, we are also allowed to ask the question 7 days after our count. So say that it is January 26th, okay? It's that Friday after the count. You have somebody come in through a diversion into your office or they call the phone. It is 100% okay to ask them where they slept on the night of our point in time count. So where did you sleep on the night of January 24th? If they are homeless, if they slept in a car, outside, whichever, please fill out a point in time count form for them, okay? So that's very important. I'm not going to talk about the counting in blocks and the schedule. Work with your offices, work with your program coordinators to come up with a plan for your guys' area, okay? And then also don't forget that on the night of the 24th, I would recommend probably calling on the 25th to call those hotels, call those churches, call those agencies, and say, hey, did you have anybody that you housed last night? Okay. Okay, so turning in the forms. So for the Eastern region, for all of IRBA's staff, feel free to go ahead and scan me over your forms. Feel free to put them in your homeless share folders in there and just let me know, hey, my PIT forms are in the folder afterwards. I am asking that you all, let's see here. Please send them to me by February 7th if possible. We have till the 10th if we need them, but we really need them, by the 7th if possible. For all the other agencies that are on the call, please go ahead and compile your agency and then go ahead and send that to me by the 10th. Okay. All right, so what questions do you have as of right now? Contact information. So you guys have my email address. Here's also my cell phone. If you are doing your count and you have a question about data or any of those pieces, there's my cell phone. Lynn Carlin is also our COC lead, so her cell phone's included in there too. Feel free to reach out. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing for a minute. I'm gonna pull up the actual tools for you all to see. All right, so this is the survey tool that you will be using. Excuse me. Each individual household will need to have an individual form. So one question I did get when I did the training with CEFS, if you find a group of individuals, maybe there's 3 individuals that are all kind of staying together, but they are not one household. They are all identifying as separate households. They're not related. They're not any of those things. Please fill out a separate form for each household, okay? If they are identifying as a household, it doesn't matter what the composition of that household is, then you can fill out one form, okay? On the top part here, it talks about it's the areas that you will fill out as the surveyor, okay? So the agency that is your agency, the location, where are you at, like where did you find this individual? The interviewers, that's your name. The region, everybody on this call is in the Eastern region, what county you're located in, and then what time. Please also make sure you put AM or PM for time, okay? All right, so then now we go to type of location where you found this individual sleeping, okay? Please on this part be as descriptive and as detailed as possible. It'll help us make sure that we don't have any duplication in our count, okay? So for instance, if you find somebody sleeping outside, please check that box right there. And then where, be as specific as possible. Please don't just put on a street, okay? Be on what street, on the corner of what and what, or as specific as you can get, okay? If you don't feel like the answer that you would like to put, is any of the ones that's listed, please feel free to mark the other box and then put whatever detail there. The sponsor information over here we talked about, that is who is paying for their hotel stay. If they're staying in a hotel, who's paying for that? Is it a church? Is it, whatever agency that is? How many people are observed staying together? So again, if this is a household, you fill it out for the whole household. If it is like 3 single individuals, they're staying close, but they're not together, please fill out 3 separate forms, okay? And then you have one of these boxes for each individual in the household, okay? Please put the head of household in as person 1, okay? So whatever that is, if that's, a dad with his kids or husband, wife, whoever we're counting as the head of household, please put them in as person 1. And then you just go through and you start asking the questions, okay? So their name, if they're not comfortable giving you their full name, initials is fine, last name is fine, whatever they're comfortable giving you, okay? Date of birth. Again, some may not want to provide their date of birth, that's fine. If you can get birth year, that's fine. If you can get their age, that's fine. Just some way that we can know how old they are. What the best way to contact them is. So cell phone, house phone, email, whatever, and then that number, that email address. For gender, here's where you're going to check all that apply. Okay. Veteran status, yes or no. If they've had a history of substance abuse, yes or no. HIV/AIDS, yes or no. A serious mental health issue, yes or no. So here's the race and ethnicity box. This is what changed from last year, probably the biggest change. And so make sure that you check all that apply. Household information. So your person 1 should be yourself, your head of household. And then everybody else will be in relation to that head of household. Okay. Their disability, do they have a disability, yes or no? And this is all self-reported. We do not need any kind of proof. It is just what does the individual say. If they say yes, they have a disability, they do not have to mark that they have substance abuse or serious mental health issues. There are also other disabilities that are not listed on here, so don't feel like it's one or the other. It can be both yes, it can be one yes, one no, so they're not necessarily related, okay? The next part here talks about chronic homelessness. So you'll see the chronic 1 there. Again, just as a reminder, that is, have they been homeless for consecutively 12 months? So from like January 2023 to January 2024, so 12 months there, or have they been homeless for a total of 12 months over the last 3 years? Okay, and that'd be chronic number 3. Is this individual homeless due to domestic violence? And are they an adult survivor of domestic violence? Okay. And so you'll fill out one of these boxes for every individual in the household. On the second page, there's just more boxes. Again, if the household is too big, if they're larger than 4, please feel free to fill out another form. But at the top, just make sure that you put like page 1 of 1, page, or how many, page 1 of 3, page 2 of 3, page 3 of 3, however many pages you need, please kind of put some identifier at the top so we know that they all go together as well. Okay. Are there any questions on the actual survey tool? Okay, we will go ahead and pull up the risk factors form. So this is the form that either you guys will fill out as frontline staff as your experience seeing people coming in as homeless, or we will also give this to other agencies that provide services, maybe, those townships or whoever that has been referring homeless to you, or those hotel operators too, those people at the front desk of the hotel that are seeing individuals come in that are homeless. Tammy says that she can't hear me. Is anybody else having trouble hearing me? Lynn, can you still hear me? Okay, Harley can hear me. Thanks, Harley. All right, Tammy, if you need to, go ahead and call back in. I'm not sure why you're having issues being able to hear me all of a sudden. Okay. Carol says if you're on a phone for Irwa, you may have lost connection. The computer is fine though. Okay, so if you guys need to, feel free to call back in. We're almost done as well. So I'll make sure to send this recording out. We only have this last form. So feel free to call back in if you need to. Okay, so all of Irwa's phone lost connection. Okay. So Carol says call back in or use your computer audio, guys. You may try your computer audio now too. It may be better than the phone, but. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish the training. If you guys are not able to call back in, or Carol says phones are back up, perfect. We'll give it just a second, then people can call back in. We're almost done. Okay, so we'll start discussing this. Everybody, guys, when you jump back on, if you have any questions, let me know, okay? So again, this will be filled out by people who are seeing homeless on that front line. So it could be hotel operators, those people at the front desk. It could be people at different agencies, maybe, your township or the churches, any of those things. You guys are also welcome to go ahead and fill this out as well, to kind of give us some input. So there are 5 questions on this form, pretty simple. Number 1, on average, how many homeless individuals do you have who entered your facility each month? So that's, pretty simple. Number 2 talks about, of these homeless individuals, how many do you believe are homeless for the first time? Okay, so just an estimate there is fine. Number 3 is another check all that apply. So for those that are first time homeless, what reasons do they say cause them to become homeless? Okay, they'll check all the boxes there that apply. If somebody lists something that's not listed, please feel free to mark the other box and then list that out. Number 4 talks about, what would you say is the biggest reason for these homeless individuals finding housing? So that's kind of wordy and not necessarily worded the best. What we're trying to figure out there is, what are their biggest barriers to stability? Okay, what is causing them trouble to be able to get back on their feet? Okay. And then number 5 is, where do you refer homeless persons for assistance with their housing needs? Okay. So that can be multiple areas as well. That's all that there is for that one. So feel free to collect those for me too, the night of the point in time count, before the point in the time count, that's fine. And just get them sent over to me no later than February 10th. What we do with that information, we compile all that information together. And then it helps us structure our system to better serve those that are, that are homeless. It helps us to provide better supports for them. So, okay. All right, so that is all of the information that I have for you all. Does anybody have any other questions, any other comments? I know we've had some connectivity issues here at the end. So what I'll do is I'll make sure that I get this uploaded fairly quickly and get it sent back out to everyone. I'll probably just send it to Carol, and then Carol, you can send it to your field staff. Same thing with Lynn, I'll send it to you, you can send it out to you guys, and then I'll make sure that the other agencies are also receiving it. Are there any questions about anything that we discussed today about the count? And just as a reminder too, if you have somebody that signs up to volunteer to help you count, please go ahead and share that with them. That's fine. It'll be a YouTube video, so it's just a link. So it's not like you have to download it and share it or anything. You can just send them the link and they can watch any of the training stuff as well. All right, well, that's all I have for you guys. I will stay on the phone until everybody leaves. So if you have any other questions that you didn't want to ask in front of everybody, feel free to stay on and ask. But thank you all for joining. We really appreciate all you do. Have a good Friday, guys.